Success is never an accident. It is always the result of disciplined thought, purposeful action, and above all, trained habits. Every morning, Lincoln Lost, you rise as one version of yourself, and every choice you make either reinforces the old you or trains the new you. The question is, who are you becoming? Lincoln Lost, because your habits are the bricks and your destiny is the building. Train them or be trained by them. Lincoln Lost. Let me show you how. Most people walk through life unaware that their outcomes are being dictated not by luck, talent, Lincoln Lost, or intelligence, but by the quiet force of their daily habits. These invisible routines repeated over and over again. Lincoln Lost shape the direction of your life more than any external factor ever could. You may think you're in control because you're making conscious decisions here and there. Lincoln Lost. But the truth is, it's your unconscious patterns, the things you do without thinking, that are writing your story in the background. Lincoln Lost, your habits are the hidden hand that molds your mindset, influences your emotions, and ultimately determines your results. You see, success doesn't respond to hope. Lincoln Lost, it responds to structure, it responds to repetition, and habits are that repetition made permanent. Every time you act, Lincoln Lost, you're voting for the type of person you believe yourself to be. That morning when you hit the snooze button instead of rising to conquer the day, you're not just being lazy. You're training your identity to accept mediocrity. But when you rise despite fatigue, push forward despite fear, and act in alignment with your vision, Lincoln Lost, you're programming your mind for greatness. The smallest actions, repeated daily, quietly etch the architecture of your future. Lincoln Lost, people are often frustrated because they don't understand why their lives aren't changing, even when they try to improve. But trying isn't training. Effort alone is not enough. You must condition your behavior until it becomes automatic. That is the essence of real power. Look around. Lincoln Lost, your current results are simply a reflection of the habits you've trained up to this point. If your finances are in chow, Lincoln Lost, it's not because of one bad decision. It's a system of daily avoidance or reckless choices. If your relationships are strained, Lincoln Lost, not about one argument. It's about the unspoken habits of neglect, judgment, or distraction that occur each day. Lincoln Lost, your destiny isn't determined in one moment. It's woven together in many. Now here's the truth, very few are willing to confront every habit you keep. Lincoln Lost, you either trained consciously or you allowed to be trained for you. Your environment is shaping you every minute. The algorithms you scroll through, the words you repeat, Lincoln Lost, the people you associate with, they're all reinforcing habits, mental, emotional, and behavioral. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your life living out someone else's program. But when you take control, when you deliberately design and train the habits that serve your highest potential, you flip the entire game. You stop reacting and start creating. Lincoln Lost, you stop living by chance and start living by choice. That's when real freedom begins, not freedom from effort, but freedom through structure. Lincoln Lost, you build systems that liberate your willpower. You automate excellence. Think about a master artist. They don't wait until they feel inspired to create. They show up every day with discipline. That discipline becomes a habit. And that habit becomes their identity. That's how mastery is born. Not in grand moments of motivation, but in consistent. Lincoln Lost, quiet choices no one sees. And what works for artists works for leaders, entrepreneurs, athletes. Anyone serious about becoming the best version of themselves. Lincoln Lost, the most dangerous lie you can believe is that a single decision will change your life. What really changes your life is making that decision every single day until it becomes your default. Until it becomes so ingrained that it would feel unnatural not to do it. Lincoln Lost, you train it, you reinforce it, you live it. So if you want to change your life, don't start with your goals. Start with your habits. Goals are just intentions. Habits are the engine. Goals create direction. Habits create motion. Train the hidden hand behind every success or failure. Mold it intentionally. Sharpen it daily. And soon, Lincoln Lost, you'll find your future was never fated, it was decided by you, the people you admire most. The ones who seem to achieve more live with clarity. Lincoln move with confidence. They're not relying on some magic formula or extraordinary advantage. What separates them is usually invisible to the casual observer. It's the result of small disciplines practiced daily, compounded over time. That's the real secret. Not willpower, not bursts of motivation, but simple, consistent actions repeated until they become instinct. Success doesn't come in one big wave. It comes in ripples. Tiny decisions made moment by moment. The tragedy is that most people dismiss the small things. They look for breakthroughs, not building blocks. They want the transformation without the repetition. Lincoln Law, every towering result you see is just the outcome of thousands of micro decisions stacked on top of each other. The book gets written one page at a time. The fortune gets built one smart choice at a time. The strong body, the focused mind, the resilient spirit. It all begins with small, disciplined acts. Now, Lincoln lost. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is power. It's freedom. When you commit to the small things every day, waking up on time, reading a chapter, Lincoln lost, making that uncomfortable phone call, you begin to build a foundation that becomes unshakable. Most people underestimate what they can do daily and overestimate what they can do in a day. But the truth is, your real power is in your daily rhythm. The habits you build are not just things you do. They become who you are. Lincoln lost. Think of discipline as a seed. You don't see the tree the next day. But each time you water that seed, you're casting a vote for your future self. You're saying, I am someone who follows through. I am someone who chooses growth. And the more you vote for that version of yourself, the stronger that identity becomes. Until one day, the action becomes effortless, because it's no longer what you're trying to do, it's who you are. And here's the secret. When you do the small things with precision, Lincoln lost. Life starts to respond differently. Opportunities find you, confidence grows. You don't need to force success because your habits attract it. You create momentum so strong that failure becomes harder than winning. That's what happens when discipline becomes automatic. You rise without resistance. Lincoln lost. You execute without negotiation. But let me be clear at first, discipline is uncomfortable. It will feel unnatural. Your old habits will fight back. Lincoln lost. Your mind will try to negotiate. Just once, skip the workout. Just today, relax a little. And that's where the battle is won or lost. Lincoln lost. In those quiet moments when no one is watching, when you choose principle over comfort, repetition over reaction, discipline over distraction. Lincoln lost. There is no such thing as neutral behavior. Every action either strengthens your personal power or weakens it. And the danger lies in the small compromises. Lincoln lost. Not the huge failures, but the tiny invisible concessions you make when you think it doesn't matter. Because what you do in private echoes in public. What you repeat becomes your reputation, first to yourself, then to the world. When you train yourself to follow through on the small things, you earn your own respect. Lincoln lost. And when you respect yourself, you no longer tolerate anything less than your best. That's where personal power begins. Not in some external validation. Lincoln lost, but in the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you did what you said you would do, day after day. When it was hard, when it was inconvenient, when no one was clapping. You don't need to be extreme. You just need to be consistent. One page written each morning, one focused hour of study, one act of courage. These are the bricks. Lincoln lost, and when you lay them every day, you build something extraordinary, something unstoppable. So don't wait for motivation. Train discipline. Don't aim to feel powerful. Do what makes you powerful. Repetition is your leverage. Consistency is your weapon. Stack your small wins until they become impossible to ignore. Lincoln lost. Because the greatest form of power isn't found in what you can do once. It's found in what you can't help but do every single day. Lincoln lost. Emotion is powerful. It can move mountains within you. It can wake you up, shake you to your core, and make you believe anything is possible. One moment of raw emotion, a surge of inspiration, pain, or purpose can light the fire. But let's be honest, emotion alone doesn't build the life you want. It's the spark. Lincoln lost, not the structure. Emotion is the fuel, but repetition is the engine. Without repetition, emotion burns out, it fizzles, it fades. Lincoln lost. And the dream that once felt so alive turns into a memory of what could have been. That's the trap most people fall into. They get motivated, they get fired up after a powerful message or a tough life experience, and they say, that's it. I'm going to change everything. And maybe they do. For a day. Lincoln lost. But then life settles back into its patterns, the emotions cool down, and without repetition, nothing sticks. Because you don't become great by getting emotional once. Lincoln lost. You become great by showing up again and again, whether you feel like it or not. The truth is, your habits don't care how you feel. They care what you repeat. The world doesn't reward intention. It rewards execution. And execution is built through repetition. That means you must decide, will you ride the roller coaster of emotion, Lincoln lost, or will you install the systems that carry you forward even when your feelings say stop? You have to understand that emotions are fleeting by design. They are supposed to come and go. That's what makes them powerful, but also dangerous if you rely on them to sustain action. You might feel courageous today, but afraid tomorrow. You might feel inspired now, but discouraged by next week. If you only act when you're emotionally ready, you'll never build consistency. And without consistency, nothing grows. Not your confidence, not your income, not your skills, not your results. Repetition is where transformation lies. When you rehearse excellence long enough, it becomes effortless. Lincoln lost. It becomes who you are. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to force it. It's automatic. But that level of instinct doesn't happen by accident. Lincoln lost. It comes from doing the work long after the excitement is gone. That's when discipline becomes your identity. That's when the engine kicks in. Lincoln lost. I've seen people with more talent, charisma, more fire burn out early because they never trained the engine. They lived off emotion, and when the flame died, Lincoln lost, so did their progress, and I've seen others. Quiet, humble, ordinary on the surface, rise to extraordinary levels of success, simply because they repeated their disciplines day after dawn, without drama, without delay. The emotional high may inspire you to dream big. Lincoln lost. But it's the repetition that gives those dreams a spine. And when your habits are strong, you don't need to wait for the right mood. You move regardless. Lincoln lost, that's where your true power lies, in your ability to act independent of how you feel. Look at the elite performers of the world. They don't need fireworks to show up. Lincoln lost, they don't require applause to execute. Their strength is built on routine. Their edge comes from doing it over and over until it becomes unnatural not to do it. Lincoln, that's the difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs are driven by emotion. Professionals are driven by repetition. The good news: you don't need to start perfect. You just need to start repeating. Don't wait for motivation to strike again. Anchor your habits into your day. Create systems so tight they make success inevitable. And when the emotions rise again, because they will, you'll be ready. You'll already be in motion. You won't need to start from scratch. You'll be moving with momentum. Lincoln lost, so yes, let emotion light the fire. Let it move you to make the decision. But after that, train your systems. Show up with discipline. Repeat what worked. Lincoln lost, because if emotion is the flame, repetition is the furnace that keeps your vision alive. And if you want to build something that lasts, you better feed the engine. Lincoln lost. You can force a habit for a while. You can grit your teeth, set reminders, push yourself through sheer willpower. But if the habit doesn't match your identity, it won't last. Lincoln lost. The moment pressure hits, the moment life gets chaotic, you'll fall back to who you believe you are. That's why real change doesn't start with what you do. It starts with who you decide to become. You must train the identity behind the habit. Too many people try to fix their behavior without fixing their beliefs. They say, "Lost, I want to wake up early." But deep down they still believe they're a night owl. They say, "I'm going to get in shape." But in their mind, Lincoln lost, they still see themselves as someone who struggles with discipline. And so the action is at war with their identity. And identity always wins. Lincoln lost. You can't outperform the self-image you hold in your mind. If you see yourself as inconsistent, you'll sabotage your progress the moment things start going well. Lincoln lost. But if you shift your identity, the actions begin to flow. They become an expression of who you are, not just a task you're trying to complete. The key is to stop chasing outcomes and start embodying the person who naturally produces those outcomes. Don't just write a book. Become a writer. Lincoln lost. Don't just go to the gym. Become someone who values their body. Don't just study hard for a few weeks. Become a disciplined learner. Lincoln lost. When your identity is aligned with your actions, discipline becomes effortless. Because now, Lincoln lost. You're not doing something that feels foreign. You're reinforcing who you already believe you are. That shift doesn't happen overnight. It begins with small wins. Every time you follow through, you reinforce the new story about yourself. Every time you resist the urge to quit, you cast another vote for that higher version of you. And the more votes you cast, the more your identity solidifies. Confidence doesn't come from compliments. It comes from keeping your word to yourself. It comes from proving, Lincoln lost, through repeated action, that you are becoming who you say you are. And it's not about perfection. It's about direction. You're going to slip. That's part of growth. But even in those moments, you get to choose the narrative. Are you someone who fails and stays down, or someone who recalibrates and gets back up stronger? Lincoln lost. Every decision becomes part of your training. Every moment is either reinforcing the old identity or installing the new one. Lincoln lost. And don't underestimate how fast you can change when identity leads the way. A man who decides, truly decides, Lincoln lost, that he is no longer available for mediocrity will reorganize his habits overnight. A woman who sees herself as a leader will begin carrying herself differently the moment that belief takes root. Change is not slow when identity is clear. Lincoln lost. It's only slow when you try to layer new behavior on top of an old story. That's why before you install a habit, you must ask yourself, Lincoln lost, who do I need to become for this to feel natural? Once you know the answer, you stop trying to willpower your way through life. You build habits from the inside out. Lincoln lost, you no longer need to force consistency because your actions are just an echo of the person you've already decided to be. You can't fake identity. The world feels it. You can feel it. And when your identity is locked in, people can sense it before you speak a word. It shows up in how you carry yourself, how you respond under pressure. Lincoln lost, how you treat the smallest tasks. It's not loud, but it's undeniable. So don't just train your habits, train your identity. Step into the role of the person who already lives the life you're working toward. See yourself as capable, consistent, powerful. Align your thoughts, your choices, Lincoln Lost, and your rituals with that vision until it becomes who you are. Because when the identity is trained, the habit becomes inevitable. Lincoln Lost. Every great transformation begins with a decision, but it's the daily discipline, the conscious identity shift, and the quiet repetition that make it real. You don't need permission to change. You don't need perfect conditions. All you need is the courage to train your habits, one step at a time, until your life reflects the power you were born with. Remember, success is not something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. Train your habits, and you train your destiny. SGT.